So as you may know, I've been doing a lot more filming with my A7 Mark IV recently, and I wanted to make that a little bit easier for myself and upgrade my setup. So what better thing to do than create this monster of a rig? Okay, so a little disclaimer before we start. My voice is, as you can hear, pretty bad. I'm just recovering from being a bit ill, which is why there haven't been as many videos in the last few weeks, but I just wanted to get a video done, so please bear in mind with my voice. If you hear any voice cracks, just, I don't know, laugh, because there's probably gonna be quite a few. So this is the cage itself, obviously without the camera in it because I'm using it to film. It's really well thought out. On the right hand side, it's very ergonomic, matching up with the grip on the A7 Mark IV. It doesn't cut into your hand anywhere. That's something that I think previous generations did. They had awkward bits which would kind of stab your hand when you held them, but this one doesn't. It's super well thought out and works out really well, very comfortable to hold. Of course, on this right hand side, you've got a bunch of mounting points as well, which is great. That's great for mounting handles or other accessories that you'd like to. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about why you'd want a rig like this. Why would you spend money getting yourself a little cage, some handles? What actual benefits does it bring you? Well, there's a number of reasons I wanted one, and that is to kind of help with the kind of comfort of filming. Being able to have more points to hold the camera massively helps, particularly in situations where you maybe need to shoot very low. A top handle is brilliant for that, and the side handle just gives you that extra larger grip. I have pretty large hands, and that's just a nicer, easier way to hold the camera, much more steady, and then I can have another hand on the lens or on the top handle. There's just so many more options for holding your camera than just the regular grip. And then across the top, more mounting points in a range of different sizes. So if there's different bits you need to add on that have different screws, then you can do that. And it's also really well thought out so that you can still access all of the buttons on the top of the camera really easily and nothing really gets in your way. And it still kind of maintains that full accessibility to all of the functions on your camera. Then on the left hand side, you have a cold shoe mount, which is great. This is where I've been attaching my microphone, but again, you could mount a bunch of different things there. It's a really good spot for the microphone though, because it's super close to the mic in, and then you don't have to have a super long cable hanging about and getting in your way. Then on the left hand side, more mounting points. I honestly don't know how many are on this cage. Hold on, give me a sec. You've got 27 mounting points. That's mental. If that isn't enough for you, then your rig's probably too big. Also at the top left, you have the mounting point where you can attach the camera through the eyelet on the edge. This is great. It adds additional support to the screw thread on the bottom. It keeps the camera from twisting and moving while in the cage, which you obviously don't want, and it just overall adds a lot of stability to this. And this one you can in fact change out for an A7 IV, an A1 or an A7S III, because they basically all have the same body type, so this cage is suitable for those cameras as well. Then the bottom of the cage, I think personally, is one of the best design bits of the whole thing. You obviously have the plate where you'll put your camera and the 1/4 inch screw. There are 6 other options on the bottom of the cage for you to attach more screws to, which is great in case you need to adjust or add more things to the bottom. Actual plate itself is Arca Swiss size, so that fits into all your tripods directly. You don't need to add another mount onto the bottom, which again, super handy. It just avoids you having to add an additional thing, and it's just built in straight away. Then of course you have the space for the battery door, and the battery door on the A7 Mark IV has a kind of a weird design where it kind of takes up a bit too much space than it really needs to for the size of it. But to kind of save space and not have additional bits sticking out, when you have this part closed, you can't actually open the battery door, it won't open. But when you open this little handy little hinge, which kind of magnetically clicks, which is great. Love that. That's how you can open the battery door, which is great because in case you leave the door open, your battery isn't going to fall out, which is always nice. And so that's a super easy, quick access door. And then on the inside of the cage, there is padding, rubber padding for all the kind of key points where the camera is in contact with the cage to stop it getting scratched, which again is great because you don't want your camera getting overly damaged. And my favorite feature on the whole cage is right at the bottom. And as you can see here, there's a little key. And this key you can remove, and that helps you to unscrew all the screws. It's a flat head here and a little screw here for this side mounting point, and that magnetically has a little spot underneath the cage and it holds it there so that whenever you're using the cage and you need to undo it, tighten it, there's that little key there for you. Brilliant design, super well thought out, well done SmallRig. That's brilliant.
The second reason is one that you might not be expecting, but it's actually to add more weight. Of course, with this massive lens on there, that's not really something I'm worried about. However, with my regular lens, which is the 28-70 that we're filming on at the moment, it's not a particularly heavy lens. And when you have quite a light camera setup, you're much more likely to get those micro jitters when you're filming handheld. Having a little bit more weight to your setup can help reduce that impact and just creates much smoother, nicer looking footage.
Okay, moving on to the top handle. This is made from aluminium, same as the cage itself. And again, very sturdy, very well built. It has a little mounting point which fits onto the top of the cage, which I'll show you in just a second. Two cold shoe mounts on the top, one at the front, facing in opposite directions, but that gives you just more mounting options. And then again, a number of different mounting points all across the side and the front in case you want to add a monitor or additional bits onto this handle, as well as it being nicely shaped at the bottom so that you can grip it nice and comfortably. Again, my favorite feature about this is a little magnetic Allen key which just sits in there. Then the side handle. This handle is great. I think it's really handy because it is both left-handed and right-handed. A lot of the handles that you can buy are kind of designed either to be one or the other, but this one you can attach to both sides of the camera without any issues. Two mounting points here, all constructed from aluminium, and you've got this nice rubber texture which gives you some extra comfort. It's nice and large. I've got pretty big hands and I don't have any problems holding this. I do really like how it feels in your hand. It could be a bit more ergonomic, but because they've made it ambidextrous, I don't know if that's the right way of saying it, but it means that you can hold it on either side really easily without any problems. And then once again, one of my favorite bits about this is it comes with, again, the Allen key that you need. Then the fourth and final piece of this camera rig is this little HDMI cable clamp. This attaches onto the side of the cage and you can tighten it to tighten any cables going into your camera, and that keeps them nice and secure. You can even hold the camera by the HDMI cable and it literally won't come out. It's super strong and it does a very good job. Again, made from aluminium, same materials used on all the other bits.
A third reason that cage can come in really handy is actually if you're filming with clients and you rock up with just your Sony mirrorless camera, it's actually quite a small camera, and to clients that maybe are paying you quite a lot of money, they'll be like, what's going on here? It's an amazing camera that can produce fantastic results, but they might actually just be a bit underwhelmed by what they're looking at. But if you get yourself a cage, it looks way more professional, and to those people that don't know anything about cameras, despite it not actually adding anything, they feel like they're getting a much more premium experience.
So I'd like to call that stage one of my A7IV Cine rig, cinema rig, camera rig, whatever you want to call it, because there are a few more things I'd like to add. Particularly, I'd like to add a monitor in the future, and I'd quite like to add maybe some rails, and we can add a matte box and some other bits and bobs. It's a brilliant starting point for this whole project. It's got a bunch of mounting points, and I've got to say the handles that are included are really good to use. Particularly, I enjoyed using the top handle because you can just get those lower down shots and those more dynamic shots so much more easily. It doesn't do my back in as much, and it's just much more comfortable to hold. I do want to say a massive thank you to SmallRig for supporting the channel and sending out this kit to me for me to use and enjoy on my camera. Definitely something I'd recommend. Go check out the rest of their stuff. They've got so much great camera rigging equipment on there and much more. So go check them out. I'll leave the link in the description if you're interested. Okay, right, I'm gonna give my voice a rest. That's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.